Hi, hello everyone. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. 7th of July 2024. 2024. We are in a very rainy Goa. Very rainy. It's been raining so heavily. After June, which was filled with small showers of rain, today we've had real heavy rains here. Anyway, stay warm, stay safe. To keep you informed and entertained, we have an interesting focus today on a guest who's going to add value to our stream for sure. And the guest is none other than the young Leaxan Freitas. Uh, warm welcome to Leaxan. Warm welcome to Leaxan and his turntable, as you can see. So Leaxan is employed at an internet cloud security firm. But I think a lot of people in Goa today are adding value in fields which are not really the area of study, the area of work. Lishan has a fascinating story to tell about Konkani music, about Goan records, about his collection of the same, his understanding of the same. So, as I promise my audience every time, I don't do much of the yak yak here. My only job is to provoke the guest into saying something interesting, which I'm sure they have. And Lishan has a lot to tell us about. Go for it, Lishan. Introduce yourself. Tell us your work. Tell us about your hobby. Tell us about your collection in the course of our conversation, which is quite free flowing and open. So if you feel I'm talking too much, if you feel I'm on the wrong track, just interrupt me, bring me back to the target, and we'll be there. Carry on.
Yeah, thanks, Frederick. Thanks for this opportunity to sort of share some of my music and interests. I think you do a great job in sort of encouraging a lot of these kind of things around Goa. So long may that continue. So I think today the idea was to talk about Kantara and music, and sort of a lot of it which is in the format of vinyl, vinyl records. Uh, Today, of course, it's much more accessible because on YouTube and Spotify you do have all of this music, but there's still some stuff that is released on other mediums which is not translated to and not available for the wide audience to listen to rather. So I think my journey with sort of collecting records in general goes back to around maybe 2011. Like after I finished engineering, got a job, so I started buying my own records. Uh, Over time, over the last decade or so, whenever I could, I tried to pick up some Concrete records as well. They're not easy to come by. I mean, hardly anybody sells them. But here and there, sometimes you get lucky. There are people, and especially abroad. I think with the Goan diaspora in Canada, UK, and US, you do find some sellers, online websites, selling it. And curiously, sometimes I also ask them, "Where did you come across this album?" Like I got one from some guy in New Jersey, and he was like, "Yeah, it was in like in a yard sale. Somebody had just kept it out there, and it was in great condition." And I mean, including shipping, I paid less for what I would have paid for it if somebody was selling it to me in Goa. And that too, nobody sells. People open to trade.
How many do you have by now? I mean, that's a fascinating hobby, and I'm sure people, if they have any surplus, they could hand over or sell over some to you.
I
How
wish.
many do you have?
So I mean, records in general. If you're looking at the regular LP, the 12-inch ones that spin at 33 and one third RPM, I have about 400 of those. But Konkani in that is only about say maybe nine, I think so, about nine or something, right? And EPs, that is the 45 RPMs, the smaller one. I have like quite a lot of those. I mean, I've not kept count, maybe close to 200 of EPs. But in that, Konkani again is about like say 20 something. That's it. Yeah. So my collection is not too vast. Some of the ones that I have, some songs are scratched, so that sort of also reduces uh, the catalog that you have because even though you
But
have it.
still, it's great. It's great that you have started it and that you have, been able to explain what you're doing and why it's important. That's a great starting point, and you're already halfway there, as I see it.
Yeah, I mean, I wish I could collect more. So my main idea behind it was, I mean, I left home when I was 15, to study. Like, so I did my 11th, 12th in Mangalore for 2 years. Then I was in Bangalore, doing my engineering, worked for a bit, did my MBA, worked again. So during this time, I think when you miss home, like the only connection that I had with home, was the music because I mean, you can't get the people, you can't get the family, you can't get like the Goa atmosphere, you can't get the festivities, you can't even get the food. I mean, no matter what people say, right? I mean, you can have maybe food like Goan food maybe in restaurants, but it doesn't. I mean, it doesn't meet, but the expectation. But when it's music, wherever you listen to, I think it's the same, right? So I think that is one sort of thing that kept the link back home. Also with the language, like moving out of Goa, I had to like start learning other languages. Like in 11th, 12th, I had roommates from around Karnataka, so I had to learn Kannada. So I started like picking Kannada up, so I could converse with them, and when they were talking to each other, I could understand what they were saying. Then when I went to Bangalore, I had to start like learning Hindi, because we had a lot of people from North India in engineering, and there was so much of Hindi conversation. So I picked up Hindi there. So and then you don't really hear much Konkani. So I think Alfred Rose and all of these artists were the only sort of link with the language also. And
Oh,
the
so
music.
I have one question. I have one question. For your generation, why did you go into vinyl and records? Why not just MP3s?
Yeah.
What made you take that decision?
Yeah. So I think yeah, I mean, I'd seen some, EPs around the house, like records, like my grandfather's collection. I mean, of course, I never met him, but his collection was there at home. And then there was this old player as well. Uh, and I was like, yeah, I think, I was looking at them, look and feel. So I was like, yeah, I think it'd be good to sort of have records. And then first you also hear about the sound being better on them and whatever, right? But then I think when I bought a couple of them, what I realized was, other than actually owning it on like a physical medium, uh, you have the artwork. You know, you have like, say for example, I'm just sitting with something here, right? I mean, you have the artwork now on it, right? Beautiful artwork. You have a liner notes. Somebody would have written something behind it about the artist, like a review or some information about the album. You have information on who is the lyricist, who's the composer, right? Now today, if I'm going to Spotify, let's say, and if I'm playing a track, I just know the person who's singing it. The composer is not there. There are like so many songs which are written by, say, Chris Perry or Alfred Rose, but somebody else has sung them and they don't give them credit. So you would never know. And through this was one good medium for me to actually understand what's happening, and like who are the composers, who wrote the lyrics, how did their music evolve over time. So I think uh, that was the main idea. Also on Spotify, a lot of the stuff that Saragama has put up, the labeling is wrong. I mean, the song title is one name, when you play it is another song playing and stuff like that. Yeah.
They've done it in the thousands, if not in the millions of songs. But I mean, I just want to place on record that people like you are doing an amazing job, because you all are going into fields and spheres which are unstudied, unnoticed, forgotten. And since you've come back with this series of music on records, people have woken up to the potential of it. You've given how many talks so far? Quite a few, no? 4, 5, 6, or 3, 4, or
Uh,
what?
yeah, a couple of them. I think I did one at the Serendipity Arts Festival. Like Goa Familia had this amazingly well documented exhibit on a lot of Goan artists, and I did two talks there. I did a talk at Museum of Christian Art. I recently did one at Sunaprant. So yeah, I mean it's good.
Museum of Goa also.
No, Museum of Goa, I have not done a talk on. I did a talk on like some Brazilian music actually, some 5 albums that I like from Brazil, but not with Konkani music. Yeah.
Okay, fascinating. So I think, see, there's this wealth of talent of the yesteryear scattered all over the place. How would you describe it? Where is it? Why is it so invisible? Why have we forgotten it?
Yeah, so like music in Goa, I think is quite vast. Whether you look at things from, there are two sides to it, right? One is what we say like little more sort of Western influenced with your mandos and whatever has Western instruments, and then the other side is your the Goan folk music. But I think there's no archive where everybody has access to it. Although a lot of the some stuff that you can fall under the Western category has been released on shellac and then on vinyl and then later, other mediums as people make the new music. But there's no public. For example, I can go to the Central Library, in Pato, and I can find any book, right, and read it. They have a great collection there, But then I can't go and listen to any song. And there are a lot of this music is there. People own it. Like my collection is nothing. There are people with like big collections, which is good because that's like heritage. They are storing it. It's safe, right? But there has to be
But it's
some
not
way
public. It's not public. It's private.
public
So yeah.
and private. Yeah. So like for me, I'm not too happy when something like the song on it is treated like a garafa, like these garafas and booyahs and all these things now are like antiques, right? So when the record itself is treated as an antique, that's completely fine. It is heritage. What we're seeing here right now is like it's an antique, so it's okay. But the music on it should not be trapped as an antique, right? We have to share that music. There has to be a way for everybody to listen to the music. We do great injustice to the original composer of the music, I feel. That's my personal opinion. When we trap it in that antique and we say it's antique.
Yeah.
So while we should take good care of these records and ensure that they are kept and don't get spoiled, we should find a balance to get the music out there. So with whatever I have in my collection and as it grows, I'm trying to sort of like do these talks and put it out there. And at the same time, like I don't repeat, like almost every time I do it, around 50% or 60%, I try to change what I'm speaking about. Sometimes some of the few songs may repeat, but the information and what I talk about the song will not be the same.
No,
uh,
I get what you're saying, and you're making an absolutely valid point, an important point. But don't forget, we are running into choppy waters here because there are issues of copyright, issues of ownership, issues of many things when it comes to music. And fortunately, a lot of Goan music has been created by smaller composers, so they are not so copyright stringent or strict or conscious. But the big players can, no, if we like, for example, play a little bit more on YouTube, they'll immediately come and claim that you violated their copyright. So those issues are there, but
but
but your point is valid nonetheless. Your point is very valid.
but how
So
many years, like, is it like 60 years for copyright, and after how many years do you want to keep? We are in 2024. We have so much music from Goa released before 1964, right? Like Amche Noshib and everything from before that is there. So I think yeah, I mean, for me, it doesn't make sense for all these things to be stuck with copyright. I don't know. We have to look it up. What is the sort of legal thing on that side? But I think 60 years is a good amount of time, right? After which some of this music should be available in the public domain.
no, I'm with you 100% on this because, as you know, my middle name is Copyleft. So I believe that intellectual products should be shared. And I'm not talking about me plundering and sharing other people's products, but my own products should be shared. You'll find all my YouTube videos, for example, in Creative Commons, because
Yeah,
people should get a chance to remix, reuse, whatever it is. And I think, basically, frankly, personally, I feel copyright is a bit excessive. I mean, like, you want to promote someone's creativity. So 60 years after a writer is dead, for example, talking about writing, what creativity are you going to promote? And also, but that's each one's opinion. We cannot force other people to
yeah,
share their products, but we should start by sharing our own. But having said that, there is also this full debate of people who have collections who may not want to share it, and it's their right because, in a certain sense, it's ownership. But the last point I want to make, sometimes, the families and the legacy, the trustees of a certain artist, they think that they are protecting his work, but actually they are doing a disservice to him, my personal opinion, by
I
not
agree.
sharing it. Because when they were alive, they were quite happy to share their work. And so, anyway, so coming to your work, so if you want to find these things, how do you recommend people get started? I think there are a few records available online, but they are quite costly and pricey and all that.
Yeah, so it is expensive. I mean, the average price of records is quite high. Yeah, I mean, I have to say, I spent sort of a fortune to sort of,
Like what?
get
Like what?
records.
Like,
Like it depends. I mean, it depends on how common the record is, what condition it is. So there's two sides to it. Okay, you can go on websites like international buyers, and you can buy, and where they do grading. So when they do grading, they talk about the how, in what condition the sleeve is, right? In what condition the record is, how much has it been played. So and then you go by various categories. So you can either say it's mint, it means it's never been played, not opened, or near mint, or you can say it's like in very good or very good plus. And if you say very good or very good plus, then people make notes saying that, oh, there's a slight tear or a slight stain or an ink mark on the cover, or song number two on side B has two sort of skips when you play something like that. Okay, they go to this level. So when you're buying it, you're like, okay, I know what I'm getting, right? And then there are a lot of people who sort of sell it because they know that people make, that they can make money off it. They're just happy to flip it. And even if there's no cover, regardless of the condition, they'll just say 7, 8 thousand, and they'll say, you know what, that's the price, take it or leave it, right?
wow.
They just put it that way without grading.
They're
And
collector's items. They're all collector's items in that
something like that.
sense.
So if you go to eBay, you clearly see, these guys selling it there, and it's mentioned in big font, these are all antiques. People treat it like antiques if you want to buy, and they sell it for like $200 and 200 pounds and things like that. Yeah, like the Miss Lorna album goes for about $200 and things like that, right? So one, and that's four songs basically. Right? Because what happens is these particular songs of Chris Perry and Lorna sort of fall into um, that category where people also, if you do not know Konkani or not from India, would enjoy listening to it. With the
Okay.
horn, the trumpet, with the guitar, all of that music, the drums, and the singing. So it's and
It's world
Lorna's
music
voice.
in a sense. It's world music.
Yeah, so these go an even higher rate at a thing because collectors across the world sort of appreciate that music. Yeah,
It's like Sigrid Pfeffer, this German sound
yeah,
recordist, who really fell in love with Goan music.
yes,
And she
yeah.
says Konkani music is like Balkan or Cuban music. You may not understand a word of it, but still you can appreciate it. Particularly the Kantara, I'm talking about this
True,
popular
true.
Chandra. Yeah,
Yeah,
Kantara.
they are
And,
very
and,
close.
and we have
Yeah.
wealth in our own backyard, but we forget the value of it sometimes. So,
Yeah, no,
sorry.
it's true. Yeah, it is very close, especially because with the Cuban music, you have a lot of the brass and the horn section in it as well. There was a time when sort of when Fidel Castro and the whole, the communist sort of rule in Cuba, they didn't want people to do too many Americanized things, and the use of certain kind of instruments and stuff in their recordings was sort of not allowed. That's why you had cowbells and more of the brass section and to give that sound, and that sort of is similar in line with, because if you look at a lot of these old songs, the kantara, there's not too much prominence of the guitar as well, like the horn, the trumpet, and some of the like old goans, who are like very famous, be it like say Chris Perry or Bras Gonzalez or Anthony Gonzalez, like none of them are guitarists. If you see, like all of these guys, majority of them are like either playing the violin, piano, or some sort of wind instrument, right? And that sort of, and for me those are that's like the heart and soul of the music that we have in Goa. Yeah.
What I like about y'all engineers is that y'all are just too much because of the rigors of your education. You can jump into any field tomorrow and you'll be quite at home there, and you'll master the field and you'll be able to explain it to others, which I think is a very useful role. I have engineer friends who are into journalism, into law, into all kinds of fields, and I'm really saying it with appreciation, no? Because of the rigors of the system you've been through. So anyway,
I
but tell us, sorry.
maybe I sort of differ you off on that point. I think for me it's that I just found whatever I was being taught too boring and outdated and no interest, and then I felt got interested in a lot of other things. So
You
I mean,
studied music yourself? I'm unpad in the field. You studied music?
I have not professionally studied music. I did go for like some keyboard classes when I was very young, maybe when I was 8, maybe 9 or 10 years old, and then I learned guitar from YouTube, and from
Wow.
friends and sort
That's
of playing.
that's what I'm saying about engineers. You're proving my point. Anyway, we won't get
But I
into
learned
argument.
engineering instead of studying what they were saying. So,
Sorry,
that,
sorry, sorry.
but I learned guitar during engineering, like off YouTube.
Yeah,
So,
fine. Tell us. Let's get to the meat of the issue. Tell us
yeah.
about your collection. Explain it to us. Show us some
So,
covers, whatever you want to
yeah.
do. I know there's a lot of eye candy coming up for those who are listening. So keep in.
So let's dive into some music. Okay. So maybe to begin with, since we were doing the sound check earlier,
Yeah.
what we have here is a mando, right? And again, like I mean, if I'm reading what's on it, correct? Now, if it was on Spotify, I wouldn't get all of this information. But now I'm reading off the actual label. Okay,
Yeah.
so it tells me that it's say made in India. Okay, the his master's voice HMV is the record label. The category that it is falling under is called Konkani folk, and Konkani with a C,
It's a C.
Concanim. Okay, like the old spelling. Uh, of course, it's got the name of the song is Adios. In bracket, it says Mando. The singers are Gladys Afonso, Vinpol, and chorus. Correct. And at the bottom, it says the music is by M. Alfonso, which is Manuel Alfonso, and the lyrics are by Vinpol. Right. Now, all of this information that I can just get out of this, if I was to play this on Spotify or somewhere there, I wouldn't know. Right. So let's maybe just play this Mando. I think the audio will come in a bit patchy. So, I mean, so you can also see a
Amazing,
lot
amazing,
of
amazing,
mistakes.
amazing,
You can see
amazing.
a lot.
We may have not, many of us may have not even heard this now earlier, and still it is there.
It's a well-known one, although they've mislabeled it as Mondo instead of Mando.
Yeah,
But you've got a lot of information. I mean, you even have the person who's done the Mohan Murli, who's done the cover art, right?
yeah,
All of that information captured like this. So yeah, so that was one song.
amazing.
Maybe we can listen to something else on the same one.
Yeah, this goes back to which year? Recorded when?
It says 1972 on this, you know,
72.
but yeah, I'm not too sure. It's very tough to. So sometimes what happens is, right, there were things which were released on shellac, and then they were re-released on vinyl. Uh, and when shellac production was stopped across globally, shellac production still continued in India. I mean, we had ample of shellac anyways here, from the insects to sort of produce it. And much later than the world, we had formats like sort of this vinyl the coming in. Okay, so it's tough to say sometimes on this, but I really don't have. 1972 is written on this, but even I would like to know which exact year. See, the next
So
one I will play. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
actually, just a small point. I think we forget one thing, and I always keep repeating it. Till the 80s, probably the center of Konkani cultural production was not Goa, but it was in Bombay and the
Yes,
big
true,
cities. To a
true.
lesser extent, Pune, Karachi, maybe East Africa also. I got a Tiat which was produced by the Kenya Broadcasting Corporation. It's in parts. It's not full, but it's in parts. It's archived on archive.org. Uh,
Nice.
yeah, but the thing is that the best and the brightest of Goa were migrating in those days. They went to places like Bombay. The recording companies were there, HMV, big labels. So they got in their work there. It came back from there. It came back to Goa. I think Remo has described. Remo, the famous pop star, has described how he first heard Konkani music of a different taste on being played on the beach at Miramar, where they used to play, through the loudspeakers then. So it's amazing how Goan culture has been kept alive and transformed and brought back and re-imported and whatever. Sorry, so you were making a point. I interrupted.
No, no. So I mean, we'll just elaborate a bit on what you were saying. No,
Yeah.
it's very true. Like for a good part, like say towards the 19th century and stuff. How long could Goa only suggest sustain like agrarian society, and like there were no industries starting. Mining was started in the 1950s, but the people were quite skilled. I mean, from the parochial schools, you had people, everybody learning music. So many people learning music. Almost everybody at least had one person in the family that could play. And at a very young age of 16, people would sort of travel to Bombay. There were ample of jobs as part of the British Raj, and with the cotton boom in Bombay, you had like even the Parsis and so many people sort of needing these services. You had clubs. Everybody wanted to ape what was happening in Paris and all these in Shanghai and all of these places, right? And I think the Goans fit in very well as arrangers for the Bollywood. After that, came into play, and with prohibition and less sort of live acts happening, and the money from Bollywood, a lot of these people then went in that direction. So I think uh, Goan sort of played a very sort of a good part there, and that sort of leads into this next song that I was going to play. It sort of ties into what you brought up, right? So this song is called Ronnie. It's sung by Doris Fernandez. The lyrics are by Manuel Alfonso, and it feels like one of those very old classic Hindi songs. Although it's a Konkani song, but it has that complete old retro Bollywood kind of sound. Because, and if you think why, it's because a lot of our Goans are sort of there, putting that sound, into Bollywood. So let's listen to this one Konkani song that sounds a lot like a retro Bollywood song. So, so what's sort of happening is, this whole orchestra sort of background and everything kind of playing is the sound that we're hearing, right? Which you had a lot of these composers back then in Bollywood who would sort of just give them the tune, and then these Goan music arrangers would write the notes for the entire orchestra to kind of play, and this sort of gives that vibe, yeah, like a very guitar, prominent guitar and things like that.
Right, 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 right. And you know what's a fascinating part, Lishan, is that till very recently we were not even aware of the enormity of this. But because of the net and because of cyberspace and because people can communicate on small on issues of, on smaller cultural issues,
Yeah,
dealing with smaller cultural communities, we are suddenly becoming aware. Like for example, I cannot but mention the film by Badroy Barreto, Nachiya Kumpasar, which is so
amazing.
excellently produced. And I think everyone who's connected to Goa, and even those who are not, if you want to understand Goa, just watch that film somehow or the other. He's done it so well. He subtitled it, and I wished, we can tell our own story ourselves rather than depending on intermediaries to tell it for us through all those distortions and stereotypes and whatever. So sorry, you're making a valuable point. Please carry on.
No, that's good. So, I mean, just on Nacha Kumpasar, I think there's so much to it. Uh, I think for me, the highlight of that movie, of course, this music and a lot of good parts to it. But it sort of documents life in Goa, from how people dressed to how people spoke to what they did, right? And you don't have uh, too much of sort of that being well documented. If you look at the old movies that were made back then, whether it is Amchinoshi, Manirmon, or whatever came. I mean, I have not watched a lot of the other movies, they're hard to get, but from whatever I've seen, it doesn't really capture this part of life in Goan villages, of people having to travel, how society was, all of that, right? And it sort of
I
shows
think
it
to be fair, it's getting easier with time. So those people who are doing it in the 40s, 50s, 60s, the first Konkani movies, 50s, early Konkani movies, they were struggling harder than we guys in that sense. No, we have it. We can build on their backs in that sense.
very true,
To
very true. Yeah, and it's a great movie. So, I mean, so the next thing we look at, right, is this album that I have here. Uh,
please
Absolutely
carry on.
wonderful album.
It's all yours.
Yeah, absolutely wonderful album. It's by your fellow Saligaonkar, uh, Orlando D'Souza, right? And I mean, Orlando is fantastic. I mean, I love his arrangements of all these mandos, dulpods, all these sort of folk songs with him and his troupe that they do. Just amazing. And this one has a couple of good songs. There's of course the very
Just to
famous.
interrupt, just to interrupt, just to interrupt. We have exactly 101 people watching us at this point of time
Oh
on
wow!
on on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter,
Oh
X.
wow! Okay.
So really nice to have you all. I want to say that feel free to interact. If you type in your question on the chat box below, whichever platform you're on, we'll get a chance to see it here. And if relevant, not if relevant, we will most probably put it out and let Nishan and the others get your feedback. Maybe lead to a discussion. We have the time, so don't worry. Just carry on, Nishan. Sorry for the interruption.
Thanks. Yeah. So, welcome to all. those who have tuned in. I mean, it's quite a big number. Wow, I had no idea. Yeah, so like I was saying, there's a great song on this called Poilo Paus, right? I mean, which everybody knows. But what I'm going to play is Shirbi
Not
Mujiga.
Poila pause today. We've had too much of the pause today.
Yeah,
Absolutely. No, I'm just
exactly.
joking. I'm joking. I'm
So,
joking.
so I'm going
Poila
to
pause
play
is a lovely number. It's a lovely number.
amazing. But what I'm going to play is one of my favorite dulpots, that is Shirbi Mujigai. And this is a great arrangement, right? So let me just start spinning this one here. So yeah, I mean,
just just
amazing.
just 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 to interrupt you, I can't resist the temptation.
Yes.
See, Orlando is a great musician. His music attracted me from the time I was 8 9 years old in the early 70s. I've never met the man, unfortunately. I've been in his home. His ancestral home is just like down the street, 500 meters from mine.
Uh,
I would always follow his music. When he came out with this lovely volume, which is sadly out of print now, costing just 500 rupees, a large size book of Goan folklore music, as he called it, folk music or
I've
something.
been searching for it. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So I took it to the booksellers and I pushed it there and things like that. But I know his son and his daughter through the net, Orlando Jr. and Pralita, both of them.
Okay.
The
Nice.
thing is that his music has a charm of the best of the mix of East and West, Bombay and Goa. Musical Western musical charm and all those kind of things. What does Shirbi mean? Just to ask you a question, what does Shirbi mean? He's talking about a Shirbi
You're talking
cow.
about
What's
this
a
cow.
Shirbi cow?
Talking about this cow. Yeah, he's talking about this cow and how he
Yeah,
puts
so
the.
Shirbi, he used the word Shirbi there. What does it mean?
Yeah, I think it's like more like what some Shashti style of thing. Like how they used to write.
It
And I
sounds,
think
it
we
sounds
make a bit well built, well
No,
built.
no, no. You know what? I didn't know this word. I was ignorant myself till a few months back, and we
Okay.
posted it on the group, on our Shashti Kokni group. And one of the guys from there came up with the word. He came up with the English word for it. It means a spotted cow.
Oh.
One that had white patches on it, kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
if I'm not mistaken, anyone can correct me. And it also it they had an English word for it. It's called piebald. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right.
Okay.
Piebald, where it's a kind of a spotted cow. Anyway, sorry I interrupted you. You were making a point,
That's
and we
really,
are getting
that's
some
really good.
comments. We are getting some comments which you can respond to later. If it's going to break the trend of your thought, you respond to it
Sure,
later.
sure.
Don't worry.
Yeah,
We'll
yeah.
show it on the
So
screen, and we'll get back to it later also.
yeah, so what I
Carry
was
on.
just
Sorry.
what is a good point. So what I was saying was, so this album, of course, the cover is done by Myra Miranda, right? And
Yeah.
I think from a lot of the album covers that I've seen, we'll all probably see some. I have not seen a lot done by sort of Goans, and this is like a very sort of yeah, I mean, you've got the rain, you've got like a village side scene, and of course you've got Mario's his signature down here, and then you've got the lyrics on the back as well of this.
One
Uh,
second, one second. I need to add it. Sorry. Yeah, yeah. Sorry. You just repeat what you said. Sorry, it was
so
not showing the.
was showing. So what I was saying was, yeah. So this is the album cover, painted by Mario Miranda. I mean, that's his cover design. You have his signature here, and it's like the countryside, the village side in Goa. Uh, at the back, you have the lyrics to the song. You have, of course, Mario given credit for the cover design as well. All of that, right? And you also
Yeah.
see the spelling of Konkani has changed from C to K in this one. Okay, so of course, I mean, this is like a very another superb album, and I see my friend Dominic has actually commented. He's like, great to see. Orlando is my favorite, but I'm missing his records. Yeah, so yeah, Orlando does have a couple of records. He's got another one, which has four songs, including that song Festa Disa is a good song. I don't have that. I've heard that one, but Orlando has released some great stuff on CDs as well. Like the Gouache Festas and a couple of these other with like folk songs again in a similar style. So I mean, yeah, he's great musician. One of my favorites. I love what he does with his arrangements of all of this stuff. And the book that you mentioned, yeah, I have been sort of searching for that book. Hard to come by, but
Though of course we are not being unfair by selectively praising some musicians. I
of
think
course,
everyone is talented in their own way. It is our ignorance that we don't know enough of them. But people are popping up all the time, and that's where I see hope. Everyone is being studied. New people are starting new areas of studies. So I met a guy who is actually a lookalike Alfred Rose. He keeps singing like Alfred Rose. Meanwhile, while I'm yakking, you can just select your covers which you want to show us next or whatever.
yes.
And he's this young fellow who exactly sings like Alfred Rose. Then there is our friend who has also collated all the works of Alfred Rose. That is uh, yeah, sorry, the name is slipping me. I'm terrible with names. And all this work is going on. There's so much musical talent. Nolas Dias's daughters are around.
Oh,
Yeah. So they one is the art collector at Donna Paula, and another one is in Austria or Europe. Sorry, you were going to show us something else.
yeah. No, I mean, so that's yeah. So what I was going to put next is so we'll shift from the sort of mandos, dulpods, and all of that to some film music. Coming into the 60s, after a lot of success from starting out playing jazz bands, with the jazz bands, and then moving on to arranging music. Frank Fernand, from Kurchere himself, who at a very young age of 16, went to Bombay and had all this success. And then, of course, events of 1961 meant more freedom sort of movement and things to be done within Goa. And then that led him to sort of release Amche Noshib, which we still can see today. It's there on YouTube. Of course,
Yeah.
the first movie in the 50s, I mean, by Jerry, we can't see that. I mean, I heard it's under restoration, but Amche Noshib is easily there to view. So this music that I'm going to play is from that album, and I think it's a song that anybody, I mean, that's a Goan would instantly recognize, right? A couple of weeks ago, I think, or maybe it was last Saturday. Yeah, last Saturday, uh, I visited a school in Sharau, and there were these kids, and I was doing like a session with this Kantara for them, and I was talking about music. And I was asking them if they could recognize some stuff here and there. I mean, quite a bright sort of unit of kids. They knew Mario Miranda and a lot of things. And I was like, okay, let's see how many people recognize this song. I played a few mandos earlier, to begin with. Nobody recognized. We played a Dhulpod. Although Shirbi Muji guy, everybody was sort of clapping along with. They liked it. The mando sort of the opening song put them to sleep. But this song, instantly, everybody sort of all the kids, and I'm talking about fifth, sixth, seventh standard kids, right? Everybody recognized. Okay, I think so. I'm just going to play it for us, and I think you can imagine the boat rowing across the river.
Chiritsuki Berjanasta punya menemukan sepuluh akan dikalapnya pula zatanmu berumur baik
So another, of course, it was like a evergreen classic, as you say, evergreen songs. When you talk about music from Goa, this is another evergreen song, sung by Molly. Lyrics are by Sia Alvarez, and of course, this album is sort of what you can say. Uh, all of the songs in this movie, I think everybody sort of pictures that scene as they sing. At least people from, I think, the previous generation, and from a younger generation, I think current day people have had exposure to this, right? So first published in 1963, you'll even find these on shellac, and then later they were sort of pressed onto vinyl.
It's amazing how your collection has led to an interest in understanding the wider music scene and its connections.
Yeah, I think so. Sort of when you're interested in something, you want to explore a lot of sides to it, right? About them, and I think a lot of people have sort of put it on the plate for us right now. You just go and pick up a book and you can read. You read Naresh Fernandez's Taj Mahal Foxtrot, or you read I think Myro Kabal Disa, which was his book, Wind of Fire.
Yeah, Wings of Fire, Wings of Fire.
Again, yeah. So you can read all of these books, and there's like great
Yeah, there
information.
is the base material is collated there.
It's there, yeah. They've referenced and they've given from where they have got. They've put some notes, and then that sort of gives you more appreciation for what it
Yeah,
takes to just release this out. If you look
yeah.
at it, if you looked at the old shellac, right? The it didn't have album covers; they had the generic covers, quite beautiful, and it just said "greatest music from greatest artists." And it made sense when I was looking at it. I mean, you had to be like really good to be able to get your stuff out there. It wasn't an easy procedure, right? Like today, we can just like you and me just set this up. I could easily have been playing some original music and we can put it out there. It wasn't as easy back then. Same, but when it came to vinyl sort of thing, as it came to sort of cassettes, things got democratized. You have a lot of people releasing cassettes and putting things out there. And now in the day of YouTube, and you can just put a sound card plug in and you can sort of record.
Okay.
But back then, you had to be absolutely special and somebody great to be able to sort of get your music out there. Yeah.
Lishan, just to get the chemistry right, you were talking about shellac and vinyl. What's the difference and what are they made of? Excuse my ignorance.
Great question, right? So, shellac is what came before vinyl, and shellac is made from lac, which is the secretion of the insect. Okay, it is easily found in India, in Southeast Asia and India, and that you get pellets of that, and then it is sort of pressed. Now, the thing with the shellac is it's on each side. Actually, let me just sort of put a thing here, right? See, so this is like what the shellac is, okay? And like I was saying, it says greatest artists, finest
Yeah,
recordings,
we
sort of.
can't see it. Just yeah. Fine, fine, fine. Yeah, now it's fine. Yeah. Wow.
Yes. Okay. So the thing with shellac is they're thicker than vinyl. Number one,
Yeah,
they spin at 78 RPM. Means it spins faster. That means on each side you can have, because it's spinning so fast, you can have less music, right?
yeah.
The grooves that the sort of needle goes through are deeper and wider. So when you're playing it, also you need a different kind of a
Stylus.
stylus
Stylus.
to stylus to put in. If you go for a micro, like you go for the micro needles which are using for these vinyl, it'll go too deep and you want the sound won't be good and you probably damage your
Okay.
needle as well, right?
Okay.
And then the other part of shellac is so there's one song on each side because it cannot have more than 5 minutes or whatever, on one side of
Yeah.
music because it's spinning so fast, right? And if you drop it, there's a good chance that it will break. And yeah, but as far as sound quality goes, I mean, if you have good instruments and you're playing it in mono and all of that stuff and the right stylus, I think you can get, and if they're in good condition, you can get good sound out of them. Vinyl, on the other hand, this thinner in size. What you see here is the EP. So the shellac was called SP, and then this is the EP. Okay, so it has two songs.
Extended play and extended.
Yeah.
And short
Ex-
play, short play.
Short play was the shellac.
Okay. Okay.
Extended play is this one here, and all of these big sort of things, like say for example this one, right? This is like a LP. Okay, it's 12-inch
Long,
diameter.
long play.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and but the thing used to make the EP and the LP is the same vinyl compound. This spins at 45 RPM, and
Yeah.
the LP is the bigger one, spin at 33 and a half RPM, which means you can have more music on it and things like that, right? That's a different format. So when shellac was sort of fading out, and this new thing came in, there was two companies. I think RCA was, if I'm not mistaken, was promoting this smaller variety of the 45s, and
Recording
maybe
Company
Columbia.
of America. Recording
Yeah,
Company of America.
America, yeah, and I think it was Colombia, someone who was promoting the
Okay.
other one, format, the bigger format. But of course, over time, I mean, the bigger album, everybody released albums and concepts, and sort of, the LP sort of took off until cassettes and different formats, and then CDs and everything came into place. Yeah.
So Domingo says, thank you for bringing Freitas, Leaxan Freitas on the show, who is very knowledgeable in this field. So I must tell you, I've been struggling to get Leaxan on due to my own inefficiencies. And we tried, and he would say this is not working, and I would say that is not working for me. And finally, he's here. In spite of the rains, I said we must make it. The rains have held out since we started. It's not been raining. We've not had any glitches so far. So far, touch wood.
Yeah, no,
And that's that.
Dom's got a good collection as well, and
Sorry,
yeah,
Domingos.
Dom's got a good collection as well. Yeah, when I do my talks, he comes. It's very encouraging to see him and to have other collectors, people that you can talk to. Yeah, in fact, I
Who
have
are
to
the
make a
collectors? Who are the collectors with or without names? How many would there be in Goa? How serious are they? What's the
I think
future
there are
of
a
this
lot.
field?
See, you have to
There
go
are.
to Facebook and you go to Alfred Rose fan group. See, I don't use Facebook much, but I go to Alfred Rose fan group to listen to some music once in a while, and I check
Where's
what's
that?
there.
Where's that?
It's on
Oh, it's
Facebook.
online. Okay.
Yeah. So there you come to know who has collections and who has what on that Alfred Rose fan group.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just
And
a
in fact,
small point.
yeah,
Sorry. Eddie Verdes, yeah, the name was slipping me a little while back. Sorry for my early
yeah, yeah.
touch of Alzheimer's. Eddie had a nice collection of Alfred Rose's music, has a nice collection. He's listed about 5,000 songs plus of
Wow.
Alfred, which no one else has. The late Andrew Greno Viegas had an amazing collection on Goan films. He wrote the first book, one of the first books, and later so did Isidore Dantes from
Okay.
Pune. So a lot of work is coming in from the diaspora, from engineers, from people outside the field, and I think it all adds up, because we've been working in silos. There is a Theatris group, there is a Kantar group, but we don't know the existence of each other. Sorry. So you were saying?
It's good that you've brought some of these names up. I mean, I wish I could meet them in person, but Eddie. So when I was doing my engineering in Bangalore, like
Yeah.
with friends, so I was telling them about all of these songs from Goa, like Lorna and Chris Payne and things like that, and making them listen to it. It was there on YouTube, some of the songs back then. But then people were curious about the lyrics, and then I was like, yeah, I mean, I couldn't catch all the lyrics, and then I managed to find the lyrics initially for the first, on Eddie Verdes's blog. I mean, he's got all the lyrics there, and thanks to his website, we were able to sort of get those lyrics and then start practicing them on the guitar and whatever, messing around, and then I started trying to like translate and tell my friends, okay, this is what they're trying to say. Of course, I mean, if you look at some of the songs like Bebdo and all that, I mean, it's such a peppy song, but then the lyrics sort of translate to something so dark. So I mean, and these are kind of way I was sort of introducing Goan music and culture to people from other parts of India when we used to like hang out and talk about music.
See,
And of course,
a
Eddie's
small
work
culture,
was like
a small
yeah, he was the hero there.
a small culture is always hard to explain because the resources are not there. So the work that all of y'all guys are doing, it's really amazing in terms of in terms of how useful it is. So show us
Right.
some of the covers that you have, because that's quite colorful. What I saw you doing.
So I mean, if I was going to play something next, and I will okay, so
Yeah, please,
maybe
please go ahead. Whatever you want to, don't
yeah.
worry. It's yours.
So we'll get to the covers. Maybe what I'll play next is something from Nirmon. Okay, just see if I can find it here. So like I mentioned at the beginning, right? I mean, so all of these records is what I've sort of got on my own, but there is one of these which is actually my grandfather's, which is in Konkani. It's quite
Tell us
battered.
about your grandfather. You have to pay tribute to this guy. Tell us about his name. Where was he from? Uh,
So my grandfather was from Solva in Raya, and so his name was Salazar Sikeravas. I think when the family was young, they moved to Bombay. I mean, his mother and then all of him and his brothers, they moved to Bombay. Then yeah, he was working there. He had his business there and things like that. And then I think after in 64, 65, they moved back to Goa. And I think that was when sort of a lot of the laws changed and things had to come in. They sort of had stuff here and there to sort of migrate back, right? After that, but so he had a lot of like these
Born in which year? Which year are we talking about? Born in?
27, 26 or
Okay.
27. Yeah,
Interesting
yeah,
to know the generation, no? Because
yeah.
that those connections are important. There was a sudden break after that, and in those times, people were very Konkani speaking and prone to understanding the culture. Bombay had a vibrant Goan community around
Yeah,
this
true. And
part
I
of
think
town.
Raya and all of these places also is like I mean that whole part of Shashtriyas has a lot of music and
Okay,
mandos and things like that, right?
correct.
But
Raya,
for
Raya, Lutoli, and Kutsori.
correct, like sort of that's the
That
heart of all
triangle,
of
that
this,
triangle,
the
yeah.
triangle there.
And in Bombay, which areas you all were in? So,
I mean, I wasn't there. I mean,
yeah.
I've like not been there. I mean, but I think they stayed in. Oh, I can't remember. I can't remember
No,
where the
because
house is in Bombay.
some of
Yeah,
those parts were the heart of Goan culture in that sense, no? Because they had
true,
such large Goan communities.
true. Yeah, I mean, I really
Okay,
don't
South Bombay.
know.
Yes,
I really don't know which exact part. Yeah, I mean,
I see.
I'll have to probably check with my mom.
Yeah,
But yeah, but coming back to this, right? So this song has it's a bit battered here and there, but it's got like the songs from the movie Nirmon. It's got Claudia, it's got sung by Antoinette. Recently, a beautiful voice recently passed away in March this year. You have Jacinth Vaz singing Uppkar Korat. You have Robin Vaz, and you also have Karmo Rod, which is song. And all this is written like by music fan Fernand. Most of the lyrics by C. Alvarez, and Suza Ferra also wrote the lyrics of one of the songs. So what I'm going to play here is let's listen to probably another classic. It's a bit battered, but let's see what best we can get. An instantly recognizable song. Yeah, and I think another instantly recognizable song. If you've seen Nirmon, there's a scene where C. Alvarez is sitting at the piano, like his kids drag him to the piano, and he just starts playing this. And I mean, it's another well sort of ingrained. At least for me, whenever I've seen these movies, like the stories are like whatever. I mean, they're not like they're quite dramatic, but because of these songs, those scenes are so iconic and they're like imprinted in your head. Like whenever you listen to these songs, sort of you can recollect some of those scenes from the movies. And I mean, C. Alvarez, maybe we can talk a bit about him. Another guy, not I don't know, is maybe the other side from where you probably stay, right? But
yeah,
again,
right,
another
right. Navili, Saligam, Saligam itself,
They
Saligam.
have his a road recently named after him, which was great.
Yeah,
I think the slide thing there with the whole
but
plaque and that stuff.
Lishan, to confess on public on in on live public TV,
Hmm.
we my ancestors were out of Goa for 2 or 3 generations in both the cases. So we
Yeah,
grew up without a word of Konkani and always speaking English at home wherever we were in Brazil, in Goa, always speaking English. It's not that we were ashamed to speak Konkani; we just couldn't. And when I came back to Goa, then of course I want to give hope to others. When I came back, people would laugh at us for how badly we spoke. They still do. They still do when I speak Konkani, but that's okay. Now I take it as it's your problem if you don't like the way I'm speaking. But we tried, and only in the last few years I overcame my sense of shame, guilt for speaking Konkani badly. And it opens up a new world to you when you try to speak the language. So I'm still trying. Anyway,
yeah.
C. Alvarez, tell us about C. Alvarez because the
Yeah, I
the
mean,
world of Kantara, the world of Tiat is amazing, and we need to.
Yeah, so C. Alvarez, amazing. I think like a massive theatrist. I think he's the one who paved the way for a lot of women to start singing. Earlier, sort of it was sort of looked out upon. It didn't have too many sort of women participating in theatre and singing, but sort of he paved the way where you started had so many women getting on stage. You had Ophelia, who sort of sang a lot of duets with him. They were amazing. Uh, Great lyricist. I think recently we had Sanjao. I mean, everybody knows that song and everybody sings it, but how many people know it's by penned down by C. Alvarez, right? The Sanjao song that's widely sung. I mean, you have remix versions of it now that people play as well. So, yeah, I think we owe a lot to sort of that generation of people who penned down these songs, sort of, expressed the Goan way of life in their music, Goan festivals. And then what happened was when Frank Fernand was making these movies, I mean, the obvious choice to act also was sort of, C. Alvarez and all these were big names at that time. And he's got them, he's acted in both Amchi Noshiv and Nirman, right? So later on, I think C. Alvarez also has released some of his own movies. I mean, I recently was got to watch a movie called Mogachi Fashi. Yeah, Love's Gallows, which is sort of mostly set in Bombay. To my disappointment, I really watched these movies hoping to see more of Goa and stuff like that. I was quite disappointed it was set in Bombay. But yeah, of course, but you have some nice music in it. Tu Ani Aao by Bob Peter and so on. Some nice songs as well. Even though that was released like much later on, right, in the late 80s, early 90s, I think so. Yeah.
So it's fascinating to listen to all this music. I'm sure there's going to be some copyright strike by the companies who have come to own, quote unquote, the music, which is actually a cultural product of the community. But anyway, be that as it may, no problem. We need to record these things, and I think it's very important the way you all, each one's efforts adds to the common pool of helping everyone understand more about this culture. The owner of this Leonora's restaurant, he brought back these Konkani films in a very big way.
True.
And was showing them about 20 years back. I forget his name. It'll come in a minute. Uh, so just can you just keep it going for 2 minutes? There's the
Yeah.
baker, the porter who's come outside, so he's going to hoot the horn
Sure,
if I
sure.
don't if I
I mean,
don't if I don't go and pick up my bread. So just keep it going for 2 minutes. I'm back.
yeah.
I'm back.
So Dominic has mentioned he's released Boglanth on VCD. So yeah, I mean, I'm just sort of sitting here. So you have Boglanth that was released. It has some of my favorite songs on it by Alfred Rose. Then he also has this one also was released. Amche Noshib. Yeah, I don't have Nirmon sadly. I wish I had it. And Bhuirantla Munis also is there that was released. So I'm aware that there were like sort of just four, these three and Nirmon. I'm not aware of the others that were released. Like movies like Sukache Sopon and all of that came later. I mean, I wish I could watch them. I don't know how to go ahead watching some of these other movies. But yeah, Amche Noshib, Nirmon, Boglanth, and Bhuirantla Munis are the four ones I think that you're talking about, right? Which the one of Leonaras released. Yeah.
Interesting. You want to show us the covers?
The Poder made you miss the covers, man. But yeah. So this is
These
again
and the others also. These and the others also.
Oglanth is here. Uh, Virantla Muniz is there, and Amche Noshiv is there.
Yeah.
So these, I
It's
mean, I don't have Nirmon. I don't have Nirmon. Sadly, I wish I did. I've been looking for it. It's tough to come by. I mean, these only I got with some difficulty walking here and there and digging, and by chance I found Boglanth after many years of searching in some corner of Mapsa. Yeah.
I hope people look to you as some kind of resource. So if they have this junk, quote unquote, junk lying around in their house, they can
Please, please,
deposit it with you or
please
give you
give
a
it. Yeah.
copy or whatever.
If you have cassettes or anything, also please give me. Like I've got cassettes. I'm trying to like see what kind of music is there on cassettes and stuff like that as well. So yeah, happy to take all of that. Not really
Yeah,
junk, but I'm happy to borrow it and listen to it and give it back.
yeah. Uh, in terms of collections, what do you think needs to
So
be
maybe
done?
we can, uh,
Sorry,
yeah, I think
sorry.
in top of collections, right? Yeah, I mean that's a good question. So my dream, like my hope, is like something that we can replicate for what we have as the central library. In
Yeah,
part of it. So we could have a music library where so then you're not going to have an issues of copyright on all this stuff. If somebody wants to go and listen to it, you go in, you take your headphones or whatever, plug it in, and you listen to the music there. You can't take it away. That way, I mean, it's everybody is sort of it meets whatever goals of legal or whatever it is, and it then allows the music to be opened to lot of new avenues for research. You can research artwork, you can research lyrics, you can research the instruments, you can do a lot of research and sort of put things out there. You can add more context to the music, and best of all, forget the research and all. People who just love music, like I mean, that's why I got into it in the first place. I love the music. They can go and sort of listen to it, and a public archive where somebody can walk into and listen to music is, I think, what is the need of the hour. So, and everything that's on Shellac and with whoever, All India Radio or whichever sort of bodies own it, or they can invite private collectors to come and sort of share some of their stuff so that it can be digitized and put in their archive. Be it cassettes, be it shellac, be it vinyl, let's get everything out there. And same for film. Uh, if you look at Isidore's book, that Konkani Ki Chol Chitra, I have seen that book. There are so many movies, but where do we go and you watch these movies? Like the Sukache Sopon, like I was saying. I mean, I really, wish I could watch it. I have no idea where to watch it. So a lot of movies that way. There has to be again an archive where we can go and sort of access these and watch it, right? That is where I want sort of the future to be.
You've given us two very nice mini engineering lectures, one on shellac versus vinyl, and the other one on what can be done for music to go ahead. But I'm saying, I'm just joking, but it's really nice that we have this vision and we can think of it, and maybe someone can take it forward. But you had some screen sharing to do.
Yeah, so I'll just share some. I'll
Yeah.
share some pictures. Okay. Let's do one thing. Mm, present, share screen. Show a few pictures that I have just scanned of my record covers. Right. So we do it this way. Yeah, it's visible, right? Yeah, it's on the stage, correct, Frederick? The
Yes, just a sec. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So this one's called Go On Memories. Uh, if you can see, it's Konkani is spelled
You
again
can
in
see
a
perfect, perfect, perfect.
yeah. Konkani is spelled in the way we spell it now. I think this is you would be familiar with Lucio. I think it's the same guy who did that Aboli, right? The book.
Correct, correct,
So
correct.
this is stuff arranged by him. I think Aboli is the second revised version. And yeah, so this is some songs arranged by him.
Lucio
Another
was
very
another amazing guy in terms of culture. The kind of work he did in the 70s, way before my time, a bit before my time. His
true. I
death
mean,
sentence, yeah.
through all I know about him is through the book Wind of Fire, right? That Mario
Aboli,
Cabralisa's book.
Aboli, Aboli, Aboli,
Yeah,
and
so Aboli is his other
and,
book. Yeah,
and his earlier book is not Wind of Fire, but he has published
no,
his essays on the theater,
correct. Go
uh,
ahead.
folktales of Goa. What's it called? He published it in Bombay first. It was published in Bombay, the blue color cover. And
Correct.
Jerry Pinto was kind enough to give me 4 copies of it
Oh,
quite
wow.
some time back.
So hopefully I can get one copy from you, Frederick. Then, if you have four.
I'll need to locate it, but sure, if I do, I definitely will. Because
But
what you're
what,
trying to do,
yeah, what I was
sorry,
saying was Wind of Fire. Mario actually refers a lot of his work as notes and stuff in his book.
Winds of Fire is an amazing book, published in Delhi, if I'm not mistaken, by one of the medium-sized publishers, and
Promila.
yeah, by Mario Cabralisa, the late Mario Cabralisa, journalist colleague. He passed away. Romila, yeah, I don't know who published Winds of
Promila,
Fire.
I think it's Promila. Promila, I think that's
And
the
actually, it's more edited by Mario, because by Mario Cabralisa has written some of the chapters. The other chapters are contributed by people like the journalist Mario Rodriguez from Bombay, the much younger
correct.
journalist.
Yeah,
So
Dr.
he does
Pancharam
a good job.
also had
Yeah,
a
he
yeah.
does. He does an excellent job on Goan musicians in Bombay. Then there are chapters on different aspects of Goan music, Eastern, Western, everything. But it's a
True.
very unnoticed book. Just like how Mario Cabral's Location Goa book on films in Goa, published
Hmm.
by the Information Department, is hardly noticed. It's an excellent
Yeah.
book. Got some during the first IFI, it was kind of produced.
Yeah, I mean it's hardly noticed, but it's not available, right? I mean, if it's
It
published
is.
by,
It is.
but where? I have not seen it. I mean,
No,
I've
no.
gone to.
See,
Yeah, It's not there.
Location Goa was published by the information department. If you go to their office on the third floor in Panjim, that's next to
Yeah.
Azad Maidan, no? The Udyog Bhavan, they'll give you a
Hmm.
copy. 600 or
Okay.
something. Price is static for all these years. Location
I will.
Goa. Good book.
Uh,
Including an essay by Deepa Gehlot on it, on the way Bollywood reduced Goa to a stereotype. Very nice essay. Very, very convincingly argued.
yeah, I think I'll check it out. I haven't visited that flow in a
Ask
long
them.
time. I think
Ask
yeah,
them.
when I was
Ask
in
them.
Don Bosco's, one of the years we were made to go and collect this leaflet, Chief Ministers of Goa from that information
I
technology place.
see. I see. Wow. Wow. Wow.
After that, I've never visited that building, so I think I'll go and check out for this book.
I know
But I
Don
think
Bosco had some good teachers. They would make them read the newspapers and all those kind of things. So,
I mean we had that as part of the curriculum, Chief Ministers of Goa, and there was one paragraph on each of them.
I see.
So
Interesting.
yeah, so we'll go through some of these record
Yeah,
covers. I
yeah.
mean, this one,
Please.
fantastic album by Alfred Rose. You see him and his family here. Uh, this is the the reverse of that one. This is another one, hit music from Goa. It's got coconut trees and weirdly enough some barges and stuff like that in it.
Very nice. Very
And
nice. Very nice.
yeah, behind you've got like another scene from something by a temple, and all the artists and everything released. This is a much later one, released I think in the late
Okay.
70s or something like that. But again, like I was saying, you've got good information. This album in particular is available on Spotify and completely mislabeled, so each song is like different. but
I
but through
see.
these, like, it's through this album that I got to know that Mok Moza Korta, a very famous song by Delphine, is actually lyrics are by Alfred Rose. So that's how I
Okay.
got to know this one. Then this is another one, a church that looks very much like Immaculate Conception in Panjim, right? That's a
Okay.
backdrop, tops and pops in Konkani,
Wow.
and then behind
Never
it's
seen
got,
this. Huh? This is absolutely new to me. Such a
oh
learning
yeah,
experience.
it's amazing. Behind you've got all these. So the main music directors are the three big guys here, and I think if you look at C. Alvarez, everybody's got quite a lot. In C. Alvarez, they kept it, sweet and simple. The most popular singer on Konkani stage, he has hit discs to his credit. I mean, everybody
Wow.
knows that. To elaborate as much, I guess, right?
Wow.
But
Wow. Wow.
this has got a lot of information here, including people who've done music. You've got like Balthazar Fernandez here, another guy from Shorround, who then did a lot of work for Bollywood in Bombay. But he's got his name in the credits here. Uh, then you've got Meet Me at Miramar. Like, I have this record, but I didn't have the cover. So another guy was like quite kind enough to lend me his cover so I could get it scanned and put it into my sort of a thing. But
Wow.
Meet Me at Miramar again, Alfred Rose with Engelbert Rose on it. This is the back cover. Not in great condition, but yeah, it got all the information here. This one is one of my favorites on this. Sonsa Dostoyerancha. Really like this song. Uh, this one's like from the 80s. So if you see the album has changed, the album covers have changed now.
Wow.
I mean, this also looks more like Om Beach or somewhere. I don't know, maybe which part of, maybe somewhere Kabderam or South Goa, but definitely somewhere in south of Goa is this shot.
Not Anjuna with the coconut trees and all. No. No. No.
Yeah,
No. You don't
look,
have. You don't have hills reaching
because
the
the
seas.
rocks and the hills, no, it makes me feel it is South Goa. I don't know,
Yeah.
maybe it could be north as well. But then you've
Maybe
got
I've got them.
some random people dancing. So this is more of the 80s, how it sort of changed into it.
Okay.
You've got a superb song on this by Antoinette called Piche. Absolutely love
Okay.
this one.
Okay.
Then H. Britton, another great guy.
Yeah.
He used to from Tiats to play both roles, male and
Yeah.
female. Uh, Fantastic album. Bus Conductor is like, you can just visualize it like sort of happening, set in
Yeah.
Bombay. Maria Lina is amazing. I mean, probably one of my favorite Chris Perry sort of stuff where the trumpet is like standing out there. Uh, in fact, like I played like a Konkani set without talking, just like Konkani music set at this festival called Echoes of Earth. And as part of the in the audience, there was other artists as well who were performing, and there was this guy from the US who said he plays electronic music, but in between he plays the trumpet.
Yeah.
And I was telling him that I'm gonna play this song, and when I was sort of playing this song, he came up with the trumpet and he was sort of playing it over it.
Wow.
And I mean, so I mean, these are songs that I mean, globally people can really appreciate, that sort of put Goa on the map, right?
Yeah.
Then we have we've already seen this. Seen this. This is the first one that I opened up with. Oh, and I think I think we've gone on for quite a while. So probably to conclude, we can
No,
play
no,
some
no. Where
music.
you're running there, you have carried on for 1 hour and 10 minutes, and you have still. Congratulations, you've still kept your audience with you. 125 people now. So
Oh,
it's
okay, okay.
actually grown. It's actually grown. And of course, we will pretend that those who dropped out of boredom were not replaced by others. But still, the number is still quite high. Is very
Fine.
high.
So nice. Thanks everybody for holding on. So I got an interesting story to talk about this one, and we listen to one song from this album, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Tell.
this album, when I looked at it, right, I was like, okay, who is this Sebi now? I mean, because I am used to seeing Sebi Fernandez with the hat and all of that stuff, right?
It's the same guy.
So yeah, it's Sebi Fernandez. So I never thought this is the same Sebi, okay? But I
Okay.
listened to the songs and I was like blown away. I was like, amazing, amazing, okay? And I had like two of these,
Yeah.
two copies. Then one day, I think, Dominic was there. He's probably still online. So he had put on Facebook, on that Facebook group where everybody posts, he had put a
Yeah.
clip of this song. And then people were commenting about it. And I think Dominic was saying he didn't have the album cover. So I put a picture of the album cover there and I sent a scanned copy to Dominic as well. And under that comment where I put this scanned cover, Sebi himself, okay, commented saying that oh wow, so good to look at the young me. I lost this album along with this album cover long
Yeah.
ago. So then the group that you started, right, that Konkani Kantara on
Yeah.
WhatsApp, his number
Yeah.
was there. So I messaged him, okay, and I then
Yeah.
called him and I, told him that, hey, I have like an extra copy of this. I'd
Yeah.
be happy to like, gift you one. So he called me. So I messaged him. Then he called me back, and then we were talking for a while. And I told him, okay, when I'm like sort of in Goa, I'll meet you. And my in-laws are, they live in Kurchore. So on the way there, one of the days I stopped by Sebi's place in Kurtori. And I was there talking to him for like almost 2.5, 3 hours, and he told me about his time of how they had played, with Chris Perry's time in Delhi when they were playing at the hotels there, how things were back then and stuff. Amazing history lesson and information that he shared with me. And then, he even signed my copy of the
Wow.
record.
Wow.
And then he gave me some. Pomelo and some Mambade and some stuff as well from his farm and all that stuff, right? So I mean, it was great meeting him and talking to him about this. So he has one copy of this record with him, and yeah,
Yeah.
I think this album sort of is, where the music in Goa, like at least from my collection. See, my collection is not vast, and all that I'm speaking to today is mainly from my collection. As it grows, I can learn more about the other ones. So this was from my collection. One album that I found was like a transition from that whole Kantara with emphasis on violin and trumpet and sax and all those instruments to then sort of some electronics and some things coming in, right? So we listen to one song from this album.
Sure.
I hope I have it here with me. Magic Santrika. This is Lucia Rodriguez. Okay. So this album sort of really brings out the other side of music. And then if you see the cassettes and a lot of music that was released, yeah, here it is. So if you look at a lot of the stuff that was released later into cassettes and stuff that came along, uh, you have more of this electronic and this effects, sound effects sort of thing, right? If you see here, it says sound effects by M. Kamath on this awesome song by M. Boyer.
Wow.
But let's listen to this great song. And that's all this electric. So this is all like some effects, right?
Right.
Sofre na pausa que da camisa tá a Amaच्या पोरी रोमांका देशाच्याच गीता तुझ्या मोगाच्या माळा काळजाचा डोळ मोजा सुजता. So I mean,
Lovely, lovely, lovely.
a lovely song, and you can hear that aha aha, and that's Annette singing in the backdrop. I mean, like if you don't have this on, I mean, I don't think this was released on any other format later. You have different versions of this song, not the same. It don't sound the same, right? But this is like an amazing version, and Annette with that aha aha in between just sort of elevates it. And I mean, this album is like entirely wonderful, and it's sort of one of those joys when you're picking albums and you just look at it or know what to find, and you play it and you're like, oh wow. In the first listen itself, the album like really sucks you in, right? And then makes you like love the music. And getting a like chance to meet Sebi and talk to him and all of that stuff was like an added sort of a thing that sort of just clicked. Again, you made a Konkani Kantara WhatsApp group. I got his number from there. Dominic had posted something on Facebook. I commented on it, and I think I was commenting on Facebook after many years. I don't use Facebook much. I mean, I'm mostly on Instagram, so I probably commented after some 7 8 years. Because I saw that the music was there and people didn't have it. So I was like, okay, guys, take the cover. It's such a good album. You should have the cover, And then that led to something else, right? So, yeah.
One thing leads to the other, but the last 76 minutes, the biggest lesson I've learned and reinforced for me is the power of one. In the past, it was single people making Konkani music and keeping it alive and letting it thrive and making it popular and giving a new lease to this tiny language. And now it's people like you who are trying to, who are working to bring it all together and doing it very efficiently. And I think each time you talk, more people are hopefully getting inspired. I'm sure someone is somewhere. There have been others in the field also who have done a lot, and it's very easy to forget people. And I'm sure many of our friends are going to be upset that we've overlooked so many of the greats. It's not because of any animosity or something. It's just because of paucity of time, maybe ignorance on my part also. I think of people like, say, Francis Rodriguez, the lawyer based in Canada, US, and things like that, who's originally from Vasco. I jokingly call him my frenemy because we kind of get on so well, and at the same time we fight with each other at times and all these kind of things. But he's put together the greatest Konkani song hits, which
Yeah,
not
yeah.
only
I have
gets two
the,
three
the,
volumes of them,
the
which
spiral
not
bound book
only.
with the chords.
Yeah, Spiral Bound one volume, the other one is, I think, not
That also, I have
Spiral.
volume 1 and 2. That's how I could get the chords to play it on guitar whenever I want to like
Correct. Correct.
learn it on
So
guitar.
so he's got the chords, the lyrics, and he's got translations which are said to rhyme also, which is amazing. So
True.
everyone, whatever work they do, they add to it. Francis Fernandez says it's a lovely initiative, Leaxan Freitas. Keep going, Tuka Valor Bawa. And one, before we end up, I just want to, if you want to share either your WhatsApp or email or whatever. So if anyone has any records lying around, they are searching for a good home, please talk to Lishan. I think it's a good cause. I think it's a great cause.
Yeah, I mean,
Whatever it is, it's up to you to decide. But we can make Lishan's contacts. Lishan, what you want to give some number or something,
yeah, I
or,
mean, you
or,
can
or
maybe
email?
I'm there on Facebook, or you can email me Leaxan. That's my name
Yeah,
at gmail.com. So just send me an email, or reach out to
okay.
me on Facebook, Leaxan Freitas.
Yeah,
Yeah, or Instagram if you want instant fastest response. You just find Leaxan on Instagram. That's the quickest you'll get in touch with me. Or if
LEAXAN
you
on
can't manage
Insta.
it, you can always sort of just email. Yeah.
Sure, sure, sure. That's great. Yeah, thanks for sparing your time. I'm so happy we did it, and I'm so happy that we you actually, you were so kind and generous with your time and with your knowledge. It's so important to take this forward. It's a great piece of work. Keep it going. I hope people understand the importance of what you're doing and encourage you and come up with it. One last thing to end on, I just want to screen share if I can. Yeah, screen share, slides, video, share screen, screen share. Share a screen. Just a sec. Huh?
I will stop sharing. Sharing, yeah.
Okay. Just a sec. Sukanduk. Anyway, you can say something in the meanwhile.
Going car.
Yeah.
In this song, the writer refers to the trials and tribulations of the Goan seamen, men brave and true who sail the seven seas.
Sorry, I had a bit of a problem in sharing the actual screen, but that is from a cassette called Sukani Duk, Joy and Sorrow. It was recorded sometime in the UK, maybe in the 60s, in the very early 60s. And this friend of mine called Mervyn Messiel, he actually shared the cassette to me and he said, "See, I don't know what to do with it. It's still somewhere around, Lishan. You can take it. I'll give it
Yes,
to
yes.
you."
I heard the album though. It's on Internet Archive. I mean, thanks to a lot of
Yeah.
your good work. I
So yeah,
downloaded
so
this.
I just went to Margao. That is your what's that? What studio? What that electronic shop? Margao Electronics, and they for 250 rupees they converted it into MP3. And since he had given me the permission, I've shared it on archive. And this is the link. You can see the link at the bottom. Feel free to listen to it. So there are these Goan guys from East Africa. They've reached England probably in the late 60s. Enoch Powell time and all that, and they're singing these Konkani songs there. Amazing, amazing. Keeping the culture, keeping the language
They
alive.
also describe a bit. There's a little bit of commentary before the song starts as well.
Yeah, so he's explaining what each song is all
Yeah,
about, and there are
it's a good
Vauradi
album.
songs, and they're frozen in time, kind of like 50 years old. So, guys, if you all have any records in your house, there is this copyright issue, and I understand it. I'm not suggesting that you violate that. But if there is something that you would like to find a home for, if there is something you would like to share, make a copy of, keep it somewhere. I think Lishan is one of the go-to persons to go to now, and we can build his efforts, we can take it forward. He This is going to help the community, this is going to help the language, this is going to help everyone's understanding future. We stand on the shoulders of giants, and if we work hard, others will stand on our shoulders one day. So it's all a great cause. Thank you so much to the 129 people who have been around for all this time, and there will be more who listen to the recordings, of course, of this on YouTube, on Facebook, and on Twitter, X. So thank you so much, Domingos. Thank you for your comments, especially to you, uh, Francis Fernandez, and everyone else who has commented. Any last words, Lishan?
Yeah, thanks for organizing this, Frederick. I mean, I
That's
think
the least I can do.
you do a lot of good stuff for a lot of various avenues of things, in Goa and interests, and sort of help people get a platform and a voice. And again, thank you to everyone who sort of joined in. It's amazing to know there are still so many people out there that's interested in this music, and sort of keeps me going as well to try to put things together. And of course, in today's session, it was more impromptu and just sort of free flowing. I mean, there are so many people I couldn't talk about, and that I couldn't bring out, unfortunately. But yeah, if I'm ever doing other talks, look out for them. And thank you. I think Flavia says yes.
There's an
Flavia.
offer. There's an offer coming from Flavia. So Flavia, please get in touch.
I will take that. Yes.
Yeah. If you can get in touch with Lishan, because we won't know how to get in touch with you. But
Yeah. Me too.
thank you
So
so much.
Flavia,
One point you
drop me.
made. One point you made, Lishan. One thing you're forgetting. I'm learning at all your costs. Okay, so I'm not giving back. I'm just learning,
Even
and
I
there's no
learn from
change in
other people. Even I learn
Yeah,
from other people.
we all do that. That change should
At
continue.
my age, I wouldn't have experienced and seen all of these things live as much as well. I have to go and build on the work of other greats and other great Goans have done
and
to sort
and
of.
and with every day we waste, that generation is passing on. Keep it in mind. I met this 90-year-old theatrist who sang on the stage a few months back, and I did a short recording, and people kept commenting, Tita Preto. So he's still alive, he's still acting. Imagine going on the stage at 90 and people remember him, remember his shows, like, and then I understand how ignorant I've been, like, of this full side to Goan culture, which we can overcome. If I can overcome, anyone can. I'm sure. All the best. We've been going on for 85
Yes.
minutes. It's a kind of a record. Your number of audience also which you attracted is a record. It's not because of me, it's because of your talk and your subject.
Yeah, it's
Thank you
because
so
of
much.
music, not because of
With
me. It's because of the music.
this, yeah,
Yeah.
Konkani music and the work you've done on it. Let's be fair.
All
Chal,
right. Okay,
Lisan,
Guru. Thank you,
you're very
everyone.
good. Thank you. Mogasuni. We'll keep in touch. Bye.
Bye.